Hey folks, it's Vera. Or is it? Yes, it is. It's me. So here's a video I didn't plan on doing. So last week, I put out a video talking about some updated guidelines I had managed to get from SAG-AFTRA that spoke to my specific situation and the kind of content that I make to find out in specific whether or not review content was allowed. Now, they did say that as I said, I did a whole video on it. But in addition to that, they also brought up that analytical content would also be fine. Really, they just want me to avoid anything that comes across more as promotion or, as we might call it around here, hype. Trailer reactions, unboxing of the new sonic screwdriver for Doctor Who, talking about casting announcements or, leaked details of plot that have come out, et cetera, like all that's off the table. But review is fine and analysis is fine. I went on a mild tangent in that video over the fact that while I do understand that a good chunk of what I do is analysis, I didn't say I wasn't going to resume doing analytical content, but I did say give me a little while to get my feet under me on that because I tend to undervalue my work a little bit in that particular area. And more than a few people in the comments on that brought up the notion that I had some form of imposter syndrome. And I've got some unpacking to do on that. If you're not familiar with the concept, broadly speaking, imposter syndrome is something that is suffered by, people in all areas, but it's pretty common in creative and artistic worlds where people feel that they are not worthy of the level of success that they have attained. Or at least that's the most common way that it tends to manifest and be talked about. And that's kind of the thing. I kind of assumed I didn't have imposter syndrome because of the way it's usually talked about. Because here's something like you need to realize. I can be pretty particular about definitions. It's part of why I like to get really granular when it is specific, but I also have a fondness of broad terms. I like umbrella terms. They have wiggle room. I mean, part of the reason it took me so long to come to an understanding of myself as a trans person was because my understanding of trans very specifically required dysphoria. Being trans does not require dysphoria. If you are going to argue with me on that, here's a video on another channel I did talking about why someone without dysphoria would still want to transition. So give me all kinds of other things to watch today. But let me tell you another story to kind of set this. It took me an almost frighteningly long time to realize the effect of peer pressure on me in my youth. Not because I was never told be cautious of peer pressure, don't submit to peer pressure. We had those kind of PSA style stuff, in grade school when I was growing up. The thing was, I didn't think I was subject to peer pressure because nobody had ever told me any equivalent. And it's not like I needed the exact words, but nobody had ever told me any equivalent of, oh, go ahead and do it. Don't you want to be cool? And I know that seems weird and pedantic and nitpicky, but the thing is, every time that they would portray peer pressure in these specials or these talks or whatever, that's the way it always got presented. And I get why. I'm not necessarily criticizing that because they had to kind of oversimplify and ramp it up to make it clear, because peer pressure is a very weird and nebulous thing that also affects kids who are probably too young to understand what it is. It's not a thing that happens to you. It is a sense that you have around you, the presence of your peers and the pressure to live up to them. But it's not somebody literally daring you to do something if you want to be cool, but because that was how they always presented it when they talked about these things to me as a kid, I thought I wasn't under peer pressure. Yeah, I know better now. I figured that out eventually. But because the way it was talked about didn't match my experience, I assumed it didn't apply. Kind of similarly with being trans. And now, imposter syndrome. Okay, here's the thing. As I mentioned already, the way imposter syndrome is generally discussed, it's a way I've heard, people who, I was going to say I know, some people I know, but also like creators I admire who like have said in interviews or on podcasts or, or their own work or whatever, have talked about feeling like frauds, feeling like they didn't earn the success they have, feeling like they are not in fact talented and they've somehow tricked people into thinking that they are talented. And there's this general background of anxiety of being found out, being discovered as a fraud. And I don't have that. For all the other stuff going on here, I do have an ego. I think I have earned the success that I have. I think I honestly probably deserve a little more success than I have had. I don't think I'm a fraud. I don't think my work doesn't have value. I don't think that people are necessarily ascribing more value to it than it has. But what does happen is I am incredibly reluctant to view myself or allow others to view me within the same breath and in the echelon of people whose work I think is way above me. Where even though we kind of do the same thing, I don't want to call it the same thing because I think they are so much better than I am. I have no business saying that what I do is the same as that. And it's not that I think that what I do has no value. It's just that, okay, if I look at something that Abigail Thorne does, or Folding Ideas does, or NerdSync does, or Jesse Gender does, and I think, okay, if that's analysis, if that's video essay, then what I do isn't that. Because, good grief, so far beyond what I do. More time, more work, more effort, better presentation, better delivery, usually better argued, always longer. I mean, I just look at the fact that I don't script very heavily. Sometimes I script completely a video, start to finish. That's not common for me, though. I generally only do it when it's something where I have a lot of very specific facts I need to be certain to get right, or I'm dealing with a lot of numbers. Every now and then, it's because I need to very carefully structure something to get to a point, but honestly, a lot of times I'm working off bullet points. I have a notion of what I want to do, but I don't script a lot of this. So just on that basis alone, I'm like, well, they script, I don't. How can what I do be the same thing? Now, that's not to say that I think I'm like a reaction channel, just flying off the cuff and fixing it in the edit. I do come in here with a point. I have a specific thing to say, and I have a point to make, and I have notes. But like, if what those kinds of people do is analysis, then no, I don't do analysis. Jeez. So if I don't do analysis, then obviously I shouldn't be doing any of that stuff because that's analysis and I'm not. That is ultimately a form of imposter syndrome. Because even though what I do categorically is in the same vein as what those creators and many others that I haven't named also do, I just think their work is so much better than mine, and I do very sincerely believe that it makes me not want to claim the same label as would describe their work. Oddly enough, there was another similar thing that happened with my transition. I have been reluctant for a very long time to describe myself as having dysphoria. I actually did an entire video, multiple videos talking about transitioning without severe dysphoria. And the thing is, while I don't have severe dysphoria, nowhere near what I think the majority of trans people have, I do have some. I have a little. Again, I did a video talking about the first time it kind of hit me hard, but I'm always very hesitant to call it dysphoria for effectively the same reason, because I have friends who I've seen what the impact of dysphoria is. I've seen how much that affects and hits them. And I look at to whatever extent I feel it, and it's so mild by comparison that I don't want to call it the same thing that they're going through. I don't think I deserve to have it be called that, because I see what they go through and I know what I go through, and it's not nothing, but it's not that. So I don't want to call it the same thing. I think some people also, tried to diagnose a lack of self-esteem. Oh, I've got self-esteem. Like I said, I'm not devoid of ego by any means, but I do self-deprecate. Probably more than I should. Self-deprecation, it has its place, but I think ultimately it's a harmful defense mechanism in a lot of cases. I think of the fact that towards the end of this video, or actually, you know what? We'll do it right now. When I plug the Patreon and the little card appears up there, there's some secondary text that you have to assign to that, so that if people sort of go to that, there's a little description that pulls up. What it currently says is support my work. And before that, it said support my content. But before that, and for a long time, it said support my nonsense. Because that felt more comfortable to describe what I do. Nonsense. I still thought good nonsense, fun nonsense, entertaining nonsense, enlightening nonsense at times, but still nonsense. I have this bizarre mix of enough of an ego to feel like I should have more success than I do, but at the same time to believe not that I'm unworthy of the success that I have, but I'm unworthy to be compared to my peers on this platform. And yeah, that is ultimately a form of imposter syndrome. I didn't want to call it that because it didn't fit my understanding. I didn't feel like a fraud. I didn't feel like I was fooling it. I didn't feel like I was getting one over on you. I just thought what I do is not nearly as important or valuable or detailed or well done or well researched or well executed as a whole bunch of people that I watch. This is something I got to work on and try to get over. And one of the things I'm going to do to try and do that is dive right back into analysis videos. Starting, can't believe I'm going to do this. I'm going to announce right now that this Saturday's video, is going to be an analysis of Barbie. And I know it's not as timely as it was, but I have thoughts, and I'm going to go into them, and I'm going to kind of pull the movie apart a little bit and spread it out and look at the components and really talk about the inner workings of the thing. And I'm going to do it because that is analysis, and that is cleared by SAG-AFTRA. That work, which I will do and have done and will continue to do, is analysis. It will be a video essay. Will it be on the scale and to the standard set by other people whose work I admire and some of whom I even know? No. But that doesn't make it not analysis. And it's no reason to not do it. So come back on Saturday and see what I have to say about Barbie. Just Barbie, not Barbenheimer. I haven't seen Oppenheimer. I actually kind of don't want to. I haven't seen a Nolan movie in a while. I just kind of stopped, and I don't really miss him. That's another topic, though. Not going to get into that right now. In any case, thank you for listening to this shared therapy session, I guess. Public therapy. That's a healthy response. But thank you. If you're still watching, seriously, thank you. Whatever your thoughts are on any of this, drop them down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Don't diagnose me with anything else, though. Just please don't. Like, if you want to say that you relate to it because you also have this or you knew someone that's like, fine, but don't diagnose me with anything else, please. Just like out of politeness, if nothing else. But there's the other stuff. Like, share, subscribe. I can't imagine this is going to be pushed to too many people who aren't my subscribers, but I don't know. The algorithm's been weird lately. I don't know what it's doing. I don't think I want to know. But in any case, what I want you to remember is that you are beautiful. You are valid. And you are loved. You are the council. I'm just running the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned. A special thanks to my highest supporting patrons, Robin Moore, Zubin Lutfullah, Tarak, the thing that goes doink in the anime, Ruth, Oliver B., Solitary Pictures, Ulrich Bogdan, Melinda Walters, Jen, Auntie Kate 808, Becky Sparks, Renabulax the Poodle, Robin Powell, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperl, Adam R.D.L. Taylor, Dave Hall, and Rosalind Bennett. You'll see a bunch of other names down there as well. There's plenty of things to get on the Patreon, and yeah, you can hear me attempt to say your name without embarrassing myself. Check out the rewards, and thank you for everyone who supports this.